like to go to our next topic, which is the state high school rankings. And we're going to talk a little bit about basketball, a little bit about hockey. And I've got Hopkins High School that I'm covering this year, and it's kind of a mecca for ranked teams. We got the number one ranked team in girls hockey. We got the number one ranked team in boys basketball, number two team in girls basketball. You kind of get the idea, the teams I'm covering this year. Nick, how about you? How about you? How about some of your ranked teams?
Well, mine are starting to come along. In girls basketball, Champlain Park is still undefeated. They cracked the top 10 recently. I think they were as high as 6th or 7th, somewhere in there. They got a nice team. They returned everybody this year, and they're going to be playing well. Most of the year. If they stay healthy, they'll have a say. They're in a section with both Osseo and Centennial. Those are two teams that are ranked. Centennial seems to be the only team able to trump Hopkins in the state rankings this year. They're number one in Class 4A. Girls basketball again. Orono in Class 3A is a top 5 team now. They played number one New Prague recently at home and lost by just 1 point. Played them about as tough as anybody has this year. Again, they're a team that returned a lot of key players from last year. They graduated just one senior last year. When their year last year, it ended in the section final with the loss of De La Salle, which was the number one ranked team then. The rest of them, Armstrong, has kind of had an up and down season so far. They've played everybody well except for the Minneapolis schools. South beat them by 10 earlier, and then Roosevelt kind of upset them the other night. And what was a surprise for me to see, because Armstrong had been playing well. Their one pitfall may be a lack of size. We'll see how they can handle that, and they're just going to have to be quick in rebounding the ball and getting out in transition. And everybody else is just okay. I guess Wayzata is going to be okay as the year goes along. They have a Division I recruit in Kate Thompson. She's going to Michigan next year, and they return a lot as well. They're going to be tough to beat. But Orono beat them a couple weeks ago, and so it'll be interesting to see how Wayzata's season plays out, and they're in a tough section as well with a lot of those top end teams. So, girls basketball wise, those are probably my best teams.
Greg, how about your girls basketball teams?
You can stick with your Hopkins Royals. I'm going for the Henry Sibley Warriors. I'm going to be on that boys basketball team bandwagon all the way to the end of the season. Tell you what, they are big, strong. They can shoot. They're burying people by 40 points. 30, 40 points they're winning by. I mean, I think they learned one thing in that state championship game last March when they blew that 20-point lead to Minnetonka. The mental toughness, it's got to be there, right? I think they learned a lot in that state tournament. Their kids have grown up. They lost their good point guard, Peter Leslie, but they've got Maurice Hernandez. They've got Bresowitz, Halverson. They go 6'7", 6'8". They got a 7-footer on their team. They go 6'3", I think. They're one of the tallest. Well, they are the tallest high school team in Minnesota boys basketball. And I'm going to stay on that bandwagon. And the only other team I agree, Hopkins is pretty doggone good. But watch out for Eden Prairie. I think they're going to get better and better as the season progresses. Remember the name Ethan Raggy. Remember the name Brett Irvin. And how can you forget the Miller guards, Mark and Timmy? I tell you what, David Flom's got himself, but I'm going to stay on that Sibley bandwagon right to the end. You aren't going to get me off, no matter what you do.
Well, there's always room on a bandwagon for you, big fella. And the thing that I want to tell you is that Hopkins has to stay on top of its game. I mean, 4 Division I players in the starting lineup, a few more Division I players coming off the bench. Kenny Novak Jr. knows this. He's been there before. He knows how to win state championships. He's got Gopher recruit Royce White. He's got Mike Broghammer. He's got Raymond Cowles. He's got Trent Lockett. He's got a great point guard, Marcus Williams. And I don't think Coach Novak's going to let his team slide. They went over to Washburn, which is a tough place to play against a very good team, and they beat Washburn, not handily, but convincingly.
I heard that place was rocking that night. The gym was full at Washburn for that game, and yeah, it was an impressive win for Hopkins. And they're going to have a lot of wins this year, and so was Henry
All
Sibley.
I'm going to say is most of the kids on that Henry Sibley basketball team live in Mendota Heights. John, where do those Hopkins players live?
Well, they attend school in Hopkins, and that's all that really concerns me as a sports journalist. I mean, if they're on that roster, I write about them.
Yep.
You know, this is the way it's always been. Open enrollment has helped certain schools, as we know, just as being a private school has helped certain schools attract certain athletes. And, you know, it's just the way the situation has evolved, that you do have open enrollment and you do have private schools, and some people can get past that, some people can't. We'll discuss open enrollment in depth in another show, and we'll be able to give our viewpoints on that in the near future.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, I've heard a lot of good things about Eden Prairie. You know, obviously Sibley, and we've talked about Cooper on the show quite a bit, and you know, they're going to have to be dealt with too, and you know, they're right up there with any of those top teams. A couple other teams that are starting to emerge as the season goes along. I think Wayzata's had a nice start to its year. It's kind of an interesting year in Wayzata. Their head coach, Phil Ward, is kind of taking a leave of absence for the year. His son is a senior captain for the Anoka boys basketball team, so he hasn't had a lot of chance, you know, as a coach to watch his boy play over the years, so he's going to take a year and kind of follow his boy around, and Bernie Ward's his name, and watch. Mike Anderson's taking over right now at Wayzata. He's got a nice team. They have some interesting players, an interesting combination. They have a great guard in Jared Peterson, who can really, really shoot the basketball. And inside, Aaron Kerr, Kellen Taylor, and they have a sophomore, Eric Robertson, who's about 6'6" right now. He's starting to fill out, Mike Anderson was saying a little bit, and if he can get some contributions from him, they're going to be pretty tough to deal with. You know, this is a team last year. They started, I think they won 20 of their first 21 ball games, and kind of, you know, got into the Classic Lake Conference season, and you know, the teams in there kind of, you know, caught up to them a little bit. But you know, they got a nice club.